Hey there, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychak with Queen Bee Creations, and we are going to do another craft with one of these dollar store styrofoam hearts. This one happens to be pink. They didn't have any more white. They didn't have any with no glitter on them. But I think in this instance, the glitter will be okay because it's going to help my clay to stick. Here's what we're doing. Now, I am going to I've got to take that little piece out. I don't need the ribbon. I do have a new pack of clay. I'm just using up my old stuff first. But what I want to do is I want to completely encase this heart in clay. Now I'm not going to do the full back of it because ultimately I am going to glue it to one of these wooden dollar store hearts. So I just need to glue the parts that you're going to see. I'm thinking that maybe to make it even sit better, I'm going to carve away a little bit of the backing. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, they're nice and dense, so this is going to be okay. So just so that it sits a little bit flatter, I don't want it to be cut in half. I do want it to have I do want that 3D effect, but that's going to sit down just a little bit better on that bigger heart. Okay, so I'm going to encase all of it apart from the piece that I'm going to glue down. I'm not painting anything yet because I might as well do all of the painting all at once. But the other piece that I have is these are little scrolls from the acanthus. I think it's the acanthus mold. I just wanted wings. If you have a wings mold, use your wings. If you have scrolls, use the scrolls. So I'm using what I have. They go the opposite direction, and I think that they will work as little wings. So I have a box filled with all kinds of different, big Christmas tree, all kinds of different pieces, so that whenever I am doing a resin project and I have extra resin, I pour it into different molds and I just keep adding it to the box. This one has pretty much the full alphabet, but it's got all kinds of letters because whenever I have a little bit of resin, little letters are the perfect thing. So I don't waste any of the resin that's left over from things. I have some that are in colors because if I was doing a colored resin pour, I just do this because I can still paint them out. So I think this was from a resin mug that I was doing, and so you're like a tumbler and you're spinning it, so it all dropped off, in which case I just scooped it up and put it into molds. Why not? Why not? So these are from one of those, in which case, because they are going to extend out beyond my board, I just thought resin is the better way to go, and rather than mixing some up and pouring some new ones, I'm just using what I've got. These ones happen to have a wire in them that I embedded in, just because I thought if I was using it into a more three-dimensional item, then the wire would help. I don't need the wire for this project, but it's not gonna hurt. So those happen to already be ready. Anything that you wanted to use as wings, pour some resin, get those molded, and dollar store heart. And we just have to start with this one first. I need to get it covered in my clay, especially now before my clay dries out. So I'm gonna squish this out just so I can cover a fair bit of surface area all at once. I don't want it super thin, but I don't want it super fat. That's kind of a waste of clay. And I'm using a form for it so that I don't waste my clay, right? There's no reason for me to have kind of massive piece. So what I am doing is I'm wetting the one side just to increase its stickability. That's its sticking properties. There's no such word as stickability, but you're with me. So I'm just going to get this squished onto the entire surface of my heart. And then once that's done, we'll come back and we'll go from there. Once my clay is on, I'm just dipping my finger into a glass of water. I'm just going to kind of wet this with my fingertips just to start to smooth it out a little bit. I don't care if it's perfectly smooth. I just want to get rid of some of the major bumps or seams where I joined things. And the water's gonna smooth that out for me. So you can see the difference between this side and this side where I haven't smoothed it. All right, the last thing that I want to do before it dries is I actually want to impress some stamps into it. So I'm using the Heavenly stamp from IOD, and I am just putting some cornstarch on it because this is still damp. I mean, it's got to be, the clay's got to be soft to be able to impress in the image. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You can see there, see the impression of it, and we'll bring that out when we paint. I've got a couple of little cherubs here. Oh Lord, sometimes these are on here so big. All right, I'm gonna have him flying across the top, and then that's it. I'm not doing major stamping on it, but no, that's always an option with your clay surfaces, is that rather than having mold coming out, you can apply the clay and have the impressed image going in. And so any of your IOD stamps would work for that. And there we've got a little cherub. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to overdo it with this. So those are good. This is good. It's going to be set off the side to dry. And I'm going to save all of the painting until everything's dry so that I can do all the painting at once. Now that everything, just our clay is dried, I'm going to paint. And what we're going to do is the base heart, we're going to paint black. Now, all right, sort of black. I was going for black, but my cold black, I don't have an open one on the shelf. So I do have cast iron, which is like a really deep charcoal. In essence, it's black. We're doing that. So I'm using all fusion paint for this because it self-seals, it's one and done. I'm going to use casement for our little wings. Okay, and I'm going to want to paint them on both sides because they will stick out beyond our project. And I will paint both sides of this. And this I'm going to paint in Fort York red. So we've got a nice bright red heart. And then we're going to wait for everything to dry again. So, you know, that's what's happening while you guys are away. Is I just dropped red on my table. Is I'm just going to get everything painted up and dried, and then we can start kind of finishing off the look of the project and doing all the other things that we need to do, not least of which is assembling. Now, before I add these together, I mean, glue them together, merge them together, whatever that means, I just wanted to add any of the gold to them that they require. So I'm using Golden Rule by DIY, and one of my faves because it's a very light faint. What I'm doing here is just, you know, if I'm putting this in the middle, I just thought maybe having a little bit of something down. I'm going to see what it looks like, but down one side. And so I've just got a little piece of lace that I'm kind of stenciling through. Most of my formal stencils are quite large, like the real stencils. So I just wanted something that wasn't huge. And I thought maybe the lace would work. I mean, we'll see. Okay, good. Now this will dry, and you know, we're just going to see a bit of it. But I did the gold down the left side because now down the heart, we're going to have the gold sitting down in that depression where we had added things. Now what I do have, oops, sorry for the arm, I do have some clear wax, and I'm just going to kind of add that over it a little bit, just so that I don't have that gold going everywhere. And wherever I've got a little bit of cracking, I'm going to add that gold as well. And I can add it just as a highlight here and there. And then finally, I'm also going to add gold to my wings. So I'm just putting some on my finger, and I'm just going to kind of rub it on to get kind of that light gold. And I sort of wanted to have a little bit of gold on each of the pieces so that it just kind of marries them together, because all three pieces are three different colors. And it's the gold that's going to kind of serve to tie them all together. So I'm just going to get this one finished and work on the other one. And I'm just going to leave them for a couple of minutes to dry while I let my glue gun heat up a bit. Just as I'm letting everything dry, I have these tiny little black metal tacks. And I just thought I wanted to add a touch of black to the heart. Just again, to kind of unify it with the base. So I'm just going to add a couple, kind of going up the side. And they do push through the clay okay, so I don't have to use a hammer or anything. And I'm just pushing them in far enough that they hit the styrofoam so that they are embedded nicely. And I'm thinking 3 should do it. So I'm just going to let that wax dry a little bit, just so that it's not so wet when I'm trying to glue things together. I don't want to be smudging things. And then we'll be back. Now, this is our finished little project. Now, the one thing that I did do after I glued them together, which not a hardship, hot glue, was I just took a little bit of black wax as well, just to grunge it up a little bit. And I did add 3 of those little tacks up the top. You saw me add them down here just to balance it out. Now, granted, this is not the soft, romantic kind of Valentine heart. It's a little bit more grunge. It's a little bit different from that standpoint. You could do the exact same process, paint it all white or cream or pink, add some gold to it, right? You can do all those kinds of things as well. I just wanted to do something that was a little bit different from the norm, but you can see the detail that we added into the heart. I think that the little bit of gold on the bottom kind of balances out. We've got some gold on here. I add a little bit of the black wax on that too, just to darken it out a little bit. And sometimes I just need to do something a little bit different than what I normally do. So know that you can do the exact same process, painting it out in whatever color makes sense to you. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Let me know if you're even into some of the little bit of the grunge or the different look here on this one. Love to hear from you as always, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.